So it is October 6th, and I wanted to talk about the last problem for homework set 4D. I wasn't able to finish this during class. It is about refinancing, and if you've never had a mortgage on a house, then there may be some details that weren't clear if you do this problem, and I didn't want that to cause you trouble. This video you can use on your own time and fast forward or slow it down as necessary. So on this, when we refinancing might be helpful for a family if they go through a sudden financial change, or if the Fed were to drop the interest rate considerably. That's something that happened this year in 2020 because of the pandemic. Many families were able to refinance for much lower rates than far lower rates than they had before. So maybe they had an interest rate that was 6% from a mortgage a few years ago, and this year the mortgage rates dropped to 3%, or if you did a 15-year mortgage, even 2.5 to 2 something, which is crazy. Which is really unbelievable. They haven't been that low in decades. So that's the point of refinancing. And if you talk to people, maybe this year they refinanced. It was a common trend this year. So when you refinance, there are benefits that I just talked about, but there are also cons. You might have to pay closing costs. So when you take out a mortgage, you usually pay a closing fee, and those are one-time fees. They don't go towards the principal of your home. They are just a fee that you have to pay as a homeowner. So it's a cost, kind of not a tax, but kind of like it. You can think about it for right now. It's not a tax, but it's a one-time fee that you have to pay to take out that new mortgage. And another thing I wanted to mention, in this problem on the homework, you're going to have different timelines, so different time periods for your mortgage. Typically, in real life, you'll hear about 15-year mortgages and 30-year mortgages. So I want you to keep that in mind as you do these problems, but the problems do generate different numbers there. And we're going to go ahead and work this problem. So in your homework, you'll have a problem similar to this. I've reworded it slightly, but we'll say Cindy and Jason they've lived in a house for 2 years already. And when they bought this house, they took out a mortgage that was $100,000, and it was a 35-year mortgage with an APR of 6%. Now, Cindy and Jason might live in a house that's a $200,000 house, but they just couldn't afford to pay all of that in cash. So the mortgage they owe here is $100,000. Now they're going to pay this off when they first take it. They assume they're going to pay it off for 35 years, and it's 6% APR. After 2 years, they still owe $98,214.94. Now that might surprise you because they've lived in it for 2 years, they've been making payments, but they haven't even paid $2,000 off yet. And that's not surprising. When you pay on a mortgage, your payment mostly goes towards your interest. Most of it doesn't even go towards your principal, especially in the beginning. And so as they're paying on that house, they really aren't seeing that much of a difference in what they owe because they're paying so much in interest, because that's such a big fee they're being charged for taking a loan out for. So this is what Cindy and Jason sit down to decide. They sit down and they need to decide, well, do we continue this 35-year mortgage, or do we switch to a different plan? They have this option of a new loan that's a 15-year loan with an APR of 5.9%, and they want to consider which one is best for their family long term. Now, when they take out this new loan, keep in mind that they owe $98,214.94 right now. So we're going to compare which is better for them in the long term, keeping the 35-year mortgage or switching to the new mortgage. And that's what this problem is about. One key factor that you'll need to keep in mind, it's going to change for your problems, but the closing costs we're going to assume are $1,800, $1,800. So keep that in mind. If they do switch to the new loan, they will have to pay that, and that should be included in our analysis. So here we go. In this problem in the homework, they're going to ask you some sub-questions. So the first slide that I have here, I've thrown that equation back up that we're using in section 4D to find the payments, and I've gone ahead and filled out our parameters. So P here would be our principal, that's the amount we owe on the loan. Our APR is 6%, It is a monthly payment, so 12 will be our in, and this was for 35 years. Now, what have they been paying for the past couple of years? That's what we're going to find right now. So find the payment for their original loan by plugging in these constants. You will get $570.19. That is how much this family has been paying per month. Despite what I've mentioned, pay over, we're going to just assume that they're paying the minimum payment, $570.19. So this is what they've been paying for 24 months. I want you to keep that in mind. And now we're going to look at, well, and the homework will ask you a question, something like this. How much would they pay in total if they continued with this loan? So because each monthly payment is $570.19, for 35 years, we're going to multiply by 12 because they're making monthly payments. They will have paid after 35 years, if they only pay the minimum payment, $239,479.80. Their loan was only for $100,000, but that family just paid $139,479.80 just for interest, for the bank to keep that note. So I want you to keep that in mind. It may surprise you, but this is real life, and this is what happens long term for homeowners. So keeping that in mind, we're going to go to the next part of this problem. What is the monthly payment if they do refinance? So their new loan has a length of 15 years, and in APR it's a little bit lower. It might surprise you, it's not that much lower, but 5.9%. Now they're not going to have to pay as long. They'll end the loan 20 some years faster, but when you calculate this, so I put in the amount they owe after 2 years of paying with the new interest rate, and for 15 years. This is going to give you a payment of $823.50. So if Cindy and Jason switch to this new loan, they are going to have to pay a lot more per month, and some families can't do that, so keep that in mind. If they are able to do that, their monthly payment is more, but after 15 years, they will have paid $163,714.56. I got that by taking their monthly payment times each of the payments they would be making, so monthly payments for 15 years, and that gives me $163,714.56. That's a lot less. So some families are not able to do that. That's a lot more per month, and if Cindy and Jason can't afford that, then they can't choose this plan. But if they are able to pay that larger mortgage payment, then that's a considerable amount of less than continuing that other plan. So let's go ahead and put this together. I want to break this down. What would be the total amount they would pay with the refinancing? So if they already paid $13,000, I got that by taking their original monthly payment times 24 for the first 2 years. So that's over 13,000. That's how much they've already paid. If they refinance, this is how much they would pay for the next 15 years plus that refinancing cost. So that gives me a total of almost 180,000. Our final decision was whether it is in their best interest to refinance or to continue with the old plan. And when you really put these two things together, it's certainly, if you're their financial advisor, it's certainly in their best interest to refinance. This may surprise you, and I encourage you to rewind, fast forward, speed up the video if that helps, but go through, and I want this to make sense. This is totally real life and really important for all of us to understand as adults. A 15-year mortgage is going to have higher monthly payments, but you will pay significantly less in overall interest. So keep that in mind. Even though there was hardly a difference between the interest rates, that is a long term, it's significantly less. And I mentioned previous videos, think long term for your family when it comes to finances, because it's a big difference between these two. Now, some people can't afford that difference, and so if you can't afford the $800 per month, then you would have to go with this other plan, the 35-year mortgage. But just keep in mind that a plan like that will cost you far more in interest. So one of the main things that I mentioned today over and over again, try to pay over the monthly payment, because in both of those situations you will be paying less than this and you'll save money that way. So that's something to keep in mind. Those are just some tips for long-term mortgages.